so much for joining us today. This is Adrienne Montgomery over at ERP VAR, and we're going to be talking about Acumatica today. We're going to be talking about the competition and how their crushing differentiators are working in their favor. Just a little housekeeping notes before we get started. If you could just look at your webinar pane right next to your name, there is a hand button and a question mark button. If you should have any questions throughout the presentation, we just ask that you click on that question mark button and a dialog box will open up where you can go ahead and key in your question. We're going to be reserving the announcing of those questions until the end of the webinar. And once again, we just want to thank you so much for taking time to join us today. We know it's hard to come by, and we really appreciate you being here. And let's just go right into the agenda here. And we're going to be we're joined by Eric Moreau, Pre-Sales Manager over at Acumatica, Noelle Bousson, and myself. We also have Bob Clancy with us. And Bob's going to go into a little bit of a presentation here. She's going to talk about Acumatica Summit 2019. He's the Senior Events Manager. And then we'll hand it over to Noelle, who will talk about partner recruiting and why Acumatica is such a great product to add to your ERP portfolio. And we're going to end it with a feature presentation by Eric Moreau, Partner Pre-Sales Manager. He's going to talk about give a product overview and those key differentiators. And then we'll end it with a Q&A where I'll be announcing the questions. And Noelle Blockson, Partner Recruitment Manager, she'll talk about a special offer for Acumatica Summit. So we hope you stay with us. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Bob. Thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you. So I apologize, everybody. I'm going to have to say next slide because I'm having computer issues. So you should be looking at the Acumatica Summit 2019 showcase slide. Next slide would be my picture. So if you can go to the next picture, which is me. I'm the Senior Events Manager at Acumatica. I'm responsible for not only the Summit, but any of the other events that Acumatica puts on. That includes any, you want to call them trade shows, third-party events, or when we go on the road, so our road show or the launches, I'm also responsible for that. Next slide, please. The next one should be a skyline of Houston. The summit is January 27th through February 1st in Houston. Registration is live. You can go to summit.acumatica.com and register. The sooner you go there and better is because from a housing standpoint, the event itself is at the Marriott Marquis in downtown Houston, and there is a block of room that has been arranged at a discounted rate. Registration is going great, which means that it's going to be eventually, we're not there yet, but at some point that block of room will be full, and then you'll have to find rooming some other place in the downtown area. So it's to your advantage to go now and book your registration and along with your hotel. The summit itself is Sunday evening, which is the welcome reception, and then Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday through Friday is training. So you can either sign up just for the summit itself, or you can sign up for summit and training, which would be the entire week. Next slide. So a couple things. As I mentioned, the event is at the Marriott Marquis in downtown Houston. It's an incredible venue. It's only been open just shy of 2 years, so beautiful facility. On top, and you can see that little glass area on the left side. And on top of there is a lazy river pool, which is in the shape of Texas. Now you're going to say, do I want to go into the water in January? I've been informed that the pool is heated, so perhaps you might want to. On Monday evening, we always have an attendee celebration party, and that's going to be at the House of Blues. It's about 6 blocks away from the Marriott Marquis. It's easily walkable. We're going to have great food and fun. We have live entertainment. The Mockingbirds are going to be on the main stage, is what you see there. It's a great venue for just listening to music, dancing, whatever it may be. And there's going to be another room where there's another stage, and I'll play a group called the Mighty Org, and it's just more background music where you can just sit down, talk to people, have some food as well. And then I'm really excited about our closing guest speaker, which is on Tuesday afternoon. His name is Mike Massimino. He's an astronaut. He's an engineer. He's been on the space station. If you are a fan of The Big Bang Theory, he has been on that show numerous times. I have seen him speak on videos, but our CEO John's daughter goes to school on the East Coast, and Mike was there and did a presentation, and she said he was incredible. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Mike live. But he's got a great sense of humor as well. If you can go to the next slide, just this kind of goes over the high-level agenda. I guess as I mentioned, it starts Sunday, but it really does start Saturday. So for any of you who want to attend and join the hackathon, it goes from 2 in the afternoon to midnight. What the hackathon is just truly groups of people who are writing code, writing applications, and we have in the past, the goal is to take some of these things that have been developed here and incorporate that into the product. So that kicks off on Saturday. That closes out, and then it opens back up at 10 a.m. and that's where the people kind of redo their code and clean everything up, and then there's presentations. That's for the hackathon itself. The welcome reception is 5 to 8. That is going to be in the expo area. It's a great time just to kind of meet everybody. From partners' perspective, it's almost like a reunion. People get together and they talk a lot about what last year and what happened through the year. So it's just a great opportunity to network with people and just see what's going on. On Monday, there's the day one keynote, which is from 8:30 to 10 a.m. That kicks off the day. Then you'll go into, there's 3 general sessions depending on how you fit and how you register. There's a partner, customer, or developer, and that's from 10 a.m. to 11:45. And then sessions, obviously there's breaks within here, but sessions are from noon until 4:50. And then there's a little time, and then the party I talked about at the House of Blues. On Tuesday, we reconvene for the morning keynote, and that's at 8:30 to 9:45. Sessions are all day long again, and then there's the closing sessions. Now, these times may vary a bit. We are still working through the agenda and just the details. It's not going to vary much, but there's a possibility maybe the closing keynote starts at 3 versus 3:15, but we'll get to those details. And then, as I mentioned, Wednesday through Friday are the training sessions. And then if you're going to do that, you just register. As you register for the summit, you can register for those classes as well. So with that, I know I spoke quickly. That's my tendency sometimes. But with that, I will turn it over to Noel.
Thanks for that information, Bob. We're definitely looking forward to Summit 2019. Hoping to see many of you there. Meet them in person. So, next slide, please. So, an introduction to Acumatica. Acumatica was founded in 2008, and what you'll hear from a lot of us say, we were born in the cloud. We made some pretty big bets back in 2008. That proved to be very good decisions, like betting on HTML5 and web services, which are the standard today. One part of our current success is due to the fact that our founders and other leadership members have made market ERP in their DNA. They have developed with legacy products. They have run channel programs. They've created, all this knowledge that they have is one of the reasons why we are successful where we are today. The other important factor of our success is just timing. We entered the ERP market when there was a big disruption in the business application space that was moving to the cloud. Payroll, CRM, and other point solutions that you guys are currently working with made that move, and ERP was just starting to make that transition. And our channel program is 100% channel focused, and it really allows us to focus on our product and technology. It also allows our customers to work with partners who are close and who are real experts in ERP implementation. We provide the support and guidance to our partners as and when needed. Next slide, please. So Acumatica through the decade, as I said, we were founded in 2008, and we really commercialized in 2010. So for the last 8 years, we've signed OEM partners. We've launched a development platform. We acquired M5, and we had our 10-year anniversary, and we reached our 4,000th customer, and that's really grown exponentially since 2010. Next slide. So our global reach. So we are the fastest growing ERP company in the industry with 84% growth in 2017. Throughout the United States, we do have a couple offices. I'm located here in our global headquarters in Seattle, Washington. We have a support office, service and support office in Columbus, Ohio, and sales and support in McLean, Virginia. And we have a couple engineering outposts. We have where it's built, Montreal, Quebec in Canada, as well as Moscow, Russia. Our field services team is located in Mexico City, so anything that is done with field services is done through there. We also have a regional headquarters in Singapore. As I said earlier, we have a few different types of partnership with Acumatica. We have our VAR partners, our ISV, and our OEM partners. These OEM partners are really important to not only Acumatica but our customers and our partners. These are long-term, multi-million-dollar contracts that give Acumatica a strong financial foundation. This also allows us to extend our development capabilities. So working with these companies in their regions, we've really been able to extend it. Currently, Acumatica is a bit inverted out of their publishers. We have 75% of our company is in research and development. So we really are coming out saying, you know what, if we're going to say we're going to build a new product, we're going to do it in a timely fashion. We're not going to keep you guys waiting for the next 2 or 3 years. Next slide. And as I just said, you know, we work with a number of ISVs. These ISVs are currently integrated with Acumatica, and we're currently growing. I'm sure you guys as partners have worked with a few of these partners in the past with other publishers, but this is just a small list of what we're currently working with. That list is growing. We really do want to cater to each individual customer, make sure they are getting an ERP platform that fits them. Next slide. And this is just, you know, our, you know, small portion of our community as well. Some of you may recognize some of these partners that are currently partners with us, and you know, we're hoping to see, you know, a few of your logos in this slide the next time we show this webinar. Next slide.
And now we're going to be kicking it off with Eric. Eric, thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you, Adrian. And that was a scary awakening to see my picture up there. So just remember that the camera does add 10 pounds. So to that point, my name is Eric Moreau. I think this is my second ERP event, ERP VAR event that I'm presenting at. So it doesn't make it any different whether it's the second time or 200th time, still a little bit nervous. So as long as I remember to breathe, we should be okay. I've been on board here at Acumatica. I can't even believe it. Next week will actually be a year since I've joined Acumatica. I work on the partner enablement and pre-sales team. So for those of you that are considering becoming Acumatica partners, it's very likely that you'll run across me or one of my colleagues that I work with on the enablement team, helping to get partners up to speed. So we do believe in you know, working with our partners to get them ready and to be self-sufficient. But then also, while you're getting up to speed, I may be asked to do a demo on your behalf. So if you have a prospect or somebody that's interested in Acumatica, they may ask me to participate with you and give an overview of the product as your team's getting up to speed. So I am up here in the Northeast. I've already warned Adrian and others. We've had some little bit of wind. I already lost power once this morning for just a moment. But if I do drop off all of a sudden, you may know why, because we may lose some power. But now that we plan for it, we should be all set. But so what I'm going to start out is giving you a product overview of Acumatica and just, you know, what's the look and feel of Acumatica? How do you get around the product? Some of the unique features of Acumatica that our prospects like today, our prospects and customers like. So really more about usability from the first, 10 or 15 minutes. Then we're going to talk about CRM and Outlook integration and how you can actually bring email transactions directly over from Outlook into Acumatica. So we'll demonstrate that for you. Talk about opportunities and how you can actually manage a project quote from CRM, and then you can push that project quote over to the project area within Acumatica. So, and then we're going to wrap up today by showing you some of the mobility features of Acumatica. So I think some neat features here in store. So to that point, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm currently logged in as admin here. So you can see I'm admin and I'm a super user. And as a super user, I actually have access to all of these workspaces that you see coming down the left-hand side. So this is basically all of the areas, modules, if you will, payables, receivables, purchases, inventory, opportunities, which we'll be seeing here in a little bit. Then also underneath more items, you'll see other areas that aren't on display at the moment, but we do have the ability to manage multi-currency or contracts, fixed assets or property and equipment, deferred revenue, marketing support. Okay. There's a couple other areas that are not listed here that are built into or that are available as well. Those are areas of field service, for example. I think Noel had talked about the fact that our field services product is managed down in Mexico City. So field services, manufacturing, we have a nice manufacturing solution for Acumatica. And then also, hard to believe again, we're going on about a year since we released our construction module or our construction vertical. Again, I don't have it installed here, but I just wanted to point out that those tools and that functionality does exist within Acumatica. Because Acumatica is a role-based system, as your individual users log into Acumatica, they will see the workspaces that pertain to their day-to-day lives. Now, because as I mentioned, I'm a super user, so I have access to everything. But an AP clerk or an AR clerk, he or she would log in and only see, for example, payables and purchases if they're on the AP side. All right, so we have, some nice security built into the product where you can control who has access to what areas, even down to the field level security if necessary. A nice tool of Acumatica that folks like to see and like to use in their day-to-day lives is this tool called Universal Search. Now I'm clicking this field up here in the top left-hand corner. What Universal Search is, it's a tool that allows me to search on virtually anything within Acumatica. Now my background is in accounting, so I'm very comfortable in that space. And a great example here is 1099s. As we know, we do 1099s but once a year, and I may not necessarily remember where they sit on the menu. So by typing in 1099, yeah, sure, it makes sense that I can find all the 1099 information on the menus underneath payables. Well, because I do 1099s but once a year, I may need a refresher. So if I also click on help articles, I'm going to see the help articles that are associated with 1099s, like how do I close out the 1099 year and how do I create that all-important e-file that we need to send to the IRS every year so we can get a nice refresher. If we have new hires, by the way, because, just type in Universal Search and you can probably figure it out on your own. As you would suspect, we also have transactions that happen to have the number 1099 assigned to them as well. In this case, we have an AP bill number 1099. I also have a project 1099, which you'll see will show up here a number of different times as these transactions are being tagged with a project. The last thing I want to show you about Universal Search is the ability to search on file names. So I have USA Project. If I type that in here and click on the file of Universal Search, I actually now have access to a Word document that has been attached to a transaction with Acumatica. And one of the things I hear when I'm doing demos, the people say, well, we always have these, Word documents or PDF or Excel, and nobody really knows where to find them. What we're going to do is we're actually going to provide you an opportunity to attach those things within Acumatica, and the way you can find them just through a simple search. And I'm going to show you where that file is stored here in just a little bit. Okay, so Universal Search, you'll probably see me refer to Universal Search throughout the session, and I just wanted to give you some background on that. The other nice feature of Acumatica are these dashboards, so this multicolored document, if you will, that's sitting in front of me right now. Because I'm the controller type, if you will, when I log into Acumatica, my homepage is going to be those things that are of interest to me. So controller wants to know, what do we have cash on hand? What do we have for cash required for the next 30 days? Cash expected for the next 30 days. A nice query someone had suggested is write a query that nets these two down so you can actually see what would be my net cash flow in theory over the next 30 days, for example. So because these are dashboards, I can actually drill back. And if I want to see who the overdue customers are, I can drill back and see who they are And from here, I get a nice little snapshot of their, overview of their aging, 30, 60, 90, okay? I also can change the color on these items for, excuse me, an IQ, where when I'm looking, red are things that I really need to focus on. I can make something yellow that maybe it's cautionary if I wanted to, and green means everything's good, you really don't have to worry about it. Now, our dashboards, you'll see, are actually role-based here, and a great example of that would be Project Manager, because I do have projects built into Acumatica. I can manage the projects. I'm a project manager, so when I log in, I want to see what my active projects are. I want to see, how many late project tasks there are. If I want to see who my underutilized employees are, I'm going to have access to all that information as well. So we do have role-based dashboards. Again, you can push them out to your mobile device, and if we get to that portion of the demo, if I don't run out of time, I will show you some mobility features as well. Now, that being said, I do want to point out that we have 9 active projects, because when we wrap up today, I'm going to have moved a project and created a new project from CRM, or Customer Relationship Management, and if I do everything right, we'll come back in here, and this number will now be 10. Another nice dashboard that we like to promote within Acumatica is our customer view. All right, now what's nice about this is if you look, it's at the macro level. It shows me orders to ship or late orders. It shows me open support cases, and again, I can drill back and see anything. I get items purchased over the last 12 months, nice little donut graph, if you will, recent activities or customer contacts. Now, I can also narrow this search down. That's at the macro level. I want to focus on USA Bartending School, and I want to see what transactions do I have out there for them. Well, unfortunately, I have 6 late orders, all right, and I have, fortunately, there's no overdue AR. I can see, again, the types of things they're buying. But what it is, it's just a view of that same data, but then rather at the macro level, it's now at the micro level. So we had gone from 21 orders to ship down to 8 when we were looking at specifically at USA Bartending. Now, I have a graph here, and this is a 12-month trend graph of sales. Now, maybe tough to see via the GoToMeeting, but if you look, there's some different colors in there based on the transaction type. So if I click on this graph right here, it's sales orders and invoices and cash transactions. So if I remove the sales orders, I now just changed the query to show me only invoices and cash transactions. Well, we all know that 12 months worth of sales history could be a little much. Maybe I only want to focus on the last 3 months. So what I can do is I can highlight these 3 columns, and that quickly I'm able to get a new view of what's going on from a sales perspective. So again, what did I do? I started at a very high level customer view dashboard. I was able to narrow down that search and show me only those types of transactions. And now, by the way, only show me these 3 months. So not only do I provide you the data, but I provide you the ability to manipulate and manage that data so I can make some decisions that are going to be important to my day-to-day business life as well. Okay. So each time I click on this Acumatica icon, by the way, it's taking me back to my dashboard and my home page. And for me, that's a nice way to transition to the next topic. And for me, the next topic is talking about the ability to use multi-company and multi-branches within Acumatica. So what I've done here is I click on the top button here, and I can have different branches, okay, or excuse me, different companies, and then within there I can have different branches. And we're currently working in products wholesale, but now if you see, I can switch to a company, Services West, or to Services East. Now, why this is important, why this is getting more visibility is, yes, Acumatica is promoted as a mid-sized solution, but we are starting to creep upstream. Like I said, even in the 12 months that I've been here, we're starting to see, or I'm starting to see bigger opportunities where people are taking a look at Acumatica, and one of the things they need to be able to do is move from branch or company to company very quickly. And you also see here I have a search. Now I only have the 3 companies and the 4 branches. I was in Chicago about a month ago and talking to a client, an existing client that has 25 different branches. So you're going to appreciate, or they will appreciate, the ability just to type in and use the search to look for the branch that they're looking for. So that's a nice feature of Acumatica, and that we're proud of. Let me make sure I'm in the right products wholesale. Okay, so we're all good there. All right, one of the things we like to talk about, still continuing with that overview, is access to information. And we get it. Any company, any ERP solution is going to say, yes, we can capture information, and like quite clearly we can. But then it's how do you manage that data once you capture it? And then the example I showed you was that that dashboard and how we can manipulate that dashboard. But another way in which we could do that is through what we call generic inquiries. Okay, and like the name implies, it's very generic. I don't know how to define it any more than that. And this is just a simple query of all my sales orders, of which I can narrow this down and search if I want to. Okay, but then we can also use side panels. Now I got the go to meeting. Let me move this thing out of my way here. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what we have here is a side panel. So now if I click on, for example, this particular row, on the side panel, when I click on that icon, I'm now actually looking at the master record for that particular row. So here's the USA bartending. I can look at the general information, billing settings, all editable, by the way. Why? Because we're actually looking at the master record. Now, of course, if you don't have access to this, or if you have read-only access, you're not going to be able to manipulate that. But here you're going to be able to see where you can, for example, add a contact if I wanted to on the fly. Now, the other nice thing that I can do here is, again, I'm still in USA bartending. I can also look at that dashboard. Remember that customer view dashboard I saw a few moments ago? I'm now able to add that as a side panel. So if I have questions, I can, okay, yep, USA bartending, what are the orders? I can drill back and see what they are. Oh, and by the way, I want to focus on the last 3 months, just like we did a few moments ago. So now I can do that from here as well. So not only do I, promote a dashboard at the header if I wanted to. So for example, I could go access the dashboard, but now when I'm looking at specific transactions, I can see information as well. So if I look at, for example, there's the widget card company, there's the detail that pertains to the widget credit card company. Okay, so let's go ahead and close the side panel for now. Another nice feature of Acumatica are pivot tables. Now, when I joined Acumatica a year ago, when I would go to do a demo and I would show pivot tables, quite honestly, I had to go underneath more items, and then I'd have to go to customization, and then I have to go to generic inquiry. And it was kind of, wasn't all that bad. But now what I can do, I can actually create a pivot table directly from this generic inquiry, and that's exactly what we have here. So there's all records, there's my sales orders, and now I happen to have orders by branch, of which I can drill down and see, in this case, all the orders by the various branches, right? So as I told you, over here, we can enter transactions by branch. Well, here's a great example of how I can now bring all that information together very quickly. So what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to go ahead and create a pivot table for you on the fly so you can see what that looks like. Now, as I mentioned, in the old days, I used to go to more items, generic inquiry, customization, or something like that. But now I can just click on this ellipse button, and now I'm going to save as pivot. And I'm going to call this sales orders by sales person by year. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click OK. All right, and it's going to launch this little this table, if you will. It's going to allow me to build my query, because that's basically what I'm doing. So at the role level, I'm going to put the default salesperson. I'm going to drag and drop that. On the columns, I'm going to put the date. Now, the date, we're going to do something a little bit special here, because as I mentioned, I want to do it by year. So on the date field, I'm going to change the date, and I'm going to round to quarters. Or I'm going to round to years, I think is what I wanted to do. Is that what I named it? Yeah, by year. So we'll do that. And then the values is going to be the order total. Okay, I'm going to drag and drop that. Okay, so again, there's all records, orders by branch, and now I have sales order by salesperson by year. So that quickly I was able to create the query. All right, well, actually I realized that there's the ID, it's not the name, but I can modify this to reflect the name as well. So again, I'm not a strong technical person, by the way. I'm an accountant by trade. I don't have a strong technical background. That does not imply for the accountants that are on the phone that you don't have strong technical background, but I know my weaknesses and my strengths. So I feel comfortable around Acumatica and being able to write some queries like this very easily and on the fly. All right. So the other thing I want to talk a little bit about, again, a new feature in Acumatica, we've always had the ability to add user-defined fields. Okay, what we have done, and by the way, whether you're aware of it or not, Acumatica is a platform company. That means people build solutions like ERP on our platform. as a platform company, we always want to make it easier for the end user, people like myself, to be able to use the platform. And a great way in which we've done that is through user-defined fields. As I mentioned, we've always had the ability to add user-defined fields, but as a demo person, I was never really able to do it easily. So to me, this is a huge feather in our cap. So again, there's my universal search. I'm going to call up sales order number 4576. Okay. And on this tab here, you'll see these are user-defined fields and examples, just a couple of simple examples I want to track for this particular transaction. When we sell to USA Bartending, maybe they are they represent different industries, right? So in this case, it's careers and employment, USA Bartending School. And in this case, it's B2B or B2C. So I'm going to track it as B2B. And then again, there's all the types of industry. So I was able to add those user-defined fields very quickly. And then, for example, again, I want to show you how easy it is to add one. I'm going to add one right now. So I'm going to choose the topic called Manage User-Defined Fields. Okay, so we within Acumatica, it's actually part of our attributes. So I'm going to manage attributes. Okay, and I'm just going to, not that creative, we'll call it ERP VAR. And the field description is going to be ERP VAR. And we're just going to add a simple text field, but I can also add combinations, select fields, checkboxes, or date time. I'm just going to go choose that field. I'm going to go ahead and save and close. Now that I've created, I'm going to add it, and it's called ERP VAR. I'm going to go ahead and select it. Adrian, you can give me my royalty fees later if you like. And what I've done now is I've actually added a user-defined field called ERP VAR. And again, it's just a text field. But if nothing else, I want to show you how easy it is to add fields to Acumatica on the fly, if you will, and if necessary. Okay, so then at this point, I can save it. And then if I want to go to create a new transaction, okay, so for USA Bartending, I'm going to go ahead and, another nice feature of Acumatica, we now have pop-up notes. Okay, so when I choose, or in this case, chose USA Bartending, I had created a pop-up note that says, customer is slow to pay. Please place order on hold and call Tom Brady before releasing. Now, if anybody saw the Patriots lose this past weekend, there's a good possibility Tom Brady may be in the accounting department before too long, but no, not really. We all know that. It's not true either. But anyway, the fact that we can add these pop-up notes, that's relatively new as well, is a nice feature within Acumatica. So I wanted to show you that. And by the way, when I go to create that new transaction, I then have the ability to populate, what the industry is, call it B2C, and then again, some simple text. Okay, so, but if nothing else, I wanted you to show how easy it is to add user-defined fields and use as user-defined fields as well as pop-up notes within Acumatica. Okay, all right. The next thing I want to show you is Outlook integration, okay? So for those of us that are using Outlook, or for those of us clients of ours that are using Outlook, we have a nice integration directly into Acumatica. Now, if you look here, there's an email, from yours truly. All right, so I sent myself an email to Max, who happens to be the super user that I'm logged in as here in Acumatica. And it says that here are additional specs required so that you can provide us a project quote. Please let me know if you have any questions. There's a Word document. And you also may note an Acumatica icon up here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this icon. And what did it do? Well, because we have the Outlook integration, it immediately recognized me based on my email address. It also said that I'm at USA Bartending School. Okay, that's the client that I'm working with. So from here, I can take this email and I can view the contact, or I can view the account being USA Bartending. I can log activity, and that's what we're going to do in just a moment, or I can create a new case, a la support, if you will, or create a new opportunity for sales. So what we're going to do is we're going to log activity. Now, when I log that activity, it's going to say, okay, well, do you want to create a contact, a case, or an opportunity? So I'm going to choose opportunity, and when I choose opportunity, I can click on this lookup, and I want to assign this to opportunity number 376, which is consulting work for new classroom build out. And I'm going to go ahead and create that. Okay. And then once I've done that, it's assigned to that opportunity. So now what we're going to do is we're going to close that out and close my Outlook here. And let's go back into Acumatica and that universal search and type in op number 376. And there's the opportunity. And sure enough, additional specs for projects. So you may recognize the email, okay? And then you also get the yellow or gold icon here indicating that there is an attachment, and that's the Word document that was attached to the email as well. So just think of the power of that. And our salespeople may say, nobody likes to log sales calls or nobody likes to log emails. We can't really make it much easier than what we just showed you, a couple pushes of a button, and now you have that information stored in Acumatica. So now we're on a sales opportunity. So what I call the front office, or CRM, right? Customer Relationship Management is the front office, right? So on this opportunity, I want to point out a couple of things. For example, I have these note fields. This is our third opportunity with USA Bartending. Okay, that's great. I also have this file. Do you recognize that file name from Universal Search? Okay, if you remember, I typed in USA Project and it called up the file name. This is where it was pulling from. This is the Word document that was attached to the opportunity, so I didn't need to go scramble, look for it. Okay, so that's a nice feature. And again, it's a feature that we're going to see, or those items, notes, and files, we're going to be moving over to the project here in just a minute. But before I do that, let's just talk about what's going on in the opportunity window. So I can track the status of an opportunity or the various stages from a sales perspective. Here's the subject, consulting work for new classroom build out. All right. We talked about the email, but again, this is all the touches that were being tracked. Back on October 22, Sam called to mention upcoming build out. Back on the 30th of October, we called Sam to set up a site review, and then site review was completed back on November 7th. So we're moving forward. I can track all this information. Because I've sent Max the information to create the quote for the project quote, we're going to go ahead and do that now. Now, if you look up here in Acumatica, I have this create quote. And we actually can create what we call a sales quote, and that's I don't know, inventory, for example. I'm going to sell them a laptop and some hardware, maybe some services. So I can create what's called a sales quote, and that's pretty straightforward. But the power of Acumatica and something unique and something I've never seen is the ability to create a project quote. So when I go create and review, right, now it's we saw a flash there. I just want to point out what's going on. I'm now on our project quote window, okay, and it's supporting opportunity number 376, okay. Well, because I'm building out a project quote, I want to use a template, and what a template does, as you can imagine, it allows me to default some information into the project so I don't have to rekey all the information, for example. Okay, so if I want to identify a project manager, I can do that as well from here. Okay, but what I want to do, I need to add some products here. So we're going to need some widgets is the first thing. So I got this smart lookup. I'm going to choose widget number 03, of which I need 100 of them. Okay, now look what happens. I added 100 widgets. Nice little calculation of what's going on with this project. All right, so $35 a piece, cost of $3,500. What is my, there's my total sales rather, there's the cost and margin. Now, if I add some additional work, well, we need to do some project consulting. So let's go ahead and we're going to add 50 hours of that. So now I've added 50 hours to that. And let's just go ahead and save this particular opportunity. Okay, so I've saved that. Okay, catch your breath here. All right, now that I've saved it, I get a nice calculation of my overall gross profit for this particular project. Now, why is this helpful? Well, what we don't want to do is create a project and build out the project and do this opportunity. By the way, did you hear that noise? That was me receiving notification on my mobile phone that I have a new opportunity that I need to be working. So I'm not sure if you heard that or not, so we're going to demonstrate that again in just a moment. But again, what's great here as an accountant, if we know that we need to get at least 25% margin on any of our projects, I'm going to be able to tell that straight away. And if we go back and forth with the customer and we cannot get at the margin that we want, then unfortunately we have to walk away. But I would rather walk away now before I spend too much time or before I actually close the deal and realize, oh, geez, we've got ourselves in a little bit of trouble here. We're not going to be able to make any money, okay? So the idea here, folks, would be able to, work back and forth. I'm going to submit this quote. And now that I've submitted it, I can actually send this over to the customer. So I'm going to choose actions and send quote. Okay, well, look what happened. On the activities tab for this quote, remember we're on quote number 7, there's the email that went to Dear Bartender. All right, and then there's a picture of the quote that was sent, not a picture, but a PDF document of the quote that was sent as well. Okay, now I know this is not very appealing, or probably should have made that look a little bit more appealing, but you can edit these. But more importantly, there's my widgets, 100 units at $49.99, and then 50 hours of consulting at $100 an hour. Okay. All right, now the idea would be to work on, again, on the opportunity. We go back and forth. We have separate renditions. I want more widgets. I want less hours, whatever the case may be. I can manage all those quotes still on the opportunity. And then each of the quotes would appear here. So I could have 3 or 4 different quotes. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, we finally concluded on what we want that project to look like. Now from the, what I call again, the front office, I'm going to convert to project. And I'm also going to bring over notes, and I'm going to bring on files. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And flash of a screen, there we are. We are now in what I call it, the back office or operations. I'm now looking at a project. It's project number 6. Well, look what happened. My note field came over. My file came over as well. So talk about a knowledge transfer and being able to share what's going on with the organization as it relates to this sale. I know, I've been in technology for a number of years, and whenever you're doing that knowledge transfer from sales to, in this case, services or operations, there's never a good transfer of data. Well, now we're going to be able to manage that entire process through Acumatica and its CRM solution. If you look, there's also the description that came over. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this off a hold, and I'm going to go ahead and save that. And I'm going to go back onto favorites. And now when I look in that project manager view, I now have 10 active projects. So if you recall, I had started with 9 projects. And Adrian, I'm going to be flipping to you for just a minute here in just a second. But again, that's really the power of being able to have a fully integrated solution. By the way, folks, everything I'm showing you today is core functionality. Right? There are no third-party products added. There is no custom development. And there may be some things I may have configured on my own, but there's a big difference between customization and configuration. Configuration is a guy like me who's using the solution day in and day out to make some changes to the solution. Customization is where we bring in the smart people to do some coding and to do something challenging that, again, we may not be able to handle out of the core product. And anybody that says, oh, we can do everything without customization is a little bit naive. Yes, there may be needs for customization, but I'm going to do everything I can to find out a situation where you may not need that. So with that, I'm going to just fire up my mobile. Now, when I'm demonstrating mobile, there's 3 or 4 different pieces of technology that need to come into play here. So I'm hoping everything will work for us. So Adrian, can you just give us a few words?
Yes, it's my pleasure. I saw the dashboards and everything. They look so intuitive. And I can see why Nucleus Research awarded Acumatica #1 in usability for the 3rd year in a row. It seems so easy to use. You as an accountant, you're able to create your own fields, and it's great that you are an accountant because you have a different perspective while using this system.
Right. So, very good. Okay. Thank you, Adrian.
You're welcome.
So what I've done here is I've actually logged into my mobile phone. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to assign an opportunity number 368, again via that ever famous universal search. Hopefully you're starting to get a sense how that would make your daily life a little bit easier. So here I have opportunity number 368. Okay, and what's going on here? It's $79,000 value. Back in early November, Chris from Southwest called to ask about placing an order with us. Back on the 12th, we called back, called Chris to find out more about what he's looking for. So we're going to assign this to Max. So this happens kind of fast. So let me just get everything lined up here. Okay. All right, do this. So what's going to happen, I'm going to get a push notification. So when I go ahead and save and close this opportunity, okay. And let's go ahead and start logging into Acumatica. There it is. You see that? I'm on my mobile device. Okay. I'm sitting at Starbucks. I'm waiting to go see a customer, and I'm not even logged into Acumatica yet, and I got what's called a push notification to notify me that something just happened. So very powerful feature within Acumatica, and we can notify people out in the field. This is just one example, but field service or other areas, support, approvals, you can do through push notifications as well. So let me go ahead and log into Acumatica. See, I need either bigger fingers or a smaller keyboard, smaller fingers or a bigger keyboard. Okay. All right. Well, now what I'm doing is I'm logged into Acumatica, and I got to remember, don't reach for your mouse because everything is on my mobile phone here. I know this is probably, for many of you, first time you're seeing our mobile solution, so let me just talk about this a little bit. I can manage my business when I'm on the road. If I'm a manager or salesperson, I can enter expense information or expense receipts from the road. If I'm a manager and I need to approve POs or other transactions, I can manage and do that from the road. If I wanted to look at that opportunity that just came in, I can click on opportunities. Okay. And let's see, I don't see 368, so let me do this. 368. So what I did there, I actually used the same functionality that I'm used to using on my phone all the time that my kids are always making fun of me for using, and I just talked into my mobile device so I could look up that item. And if I want to look at 368, I just did it. I clicked on that with my mouse. You think after a year I'd figure that out. Anywho, all right, so 368, what's going on? It's a consumer goods opportunity. All right, there's the 79.6 we just saw. If I look underneath activities, I can see the two activities we just talked about. So from a salesperson's perspective, I'm going to have everything, and I'm now in a position to call that particular customer and be up to speed if I need to. There's other things that we can do. We can manage contacts. If I'm managing projects, or if I'm a project consultant myself, for example, that project we just created, if I need to enter my time through my mobile device, I can do that as well. Manage purchase orders. By the way, dashboards, okay? That's that customer view dashboard we just saw a few moments ago. And yes, I can look it up, and if I want to see specifically what's going on with, who is it, Southwest, I could do that from here as well. So again, that was just a little bit of Acumatica. I know I went kind of fast, but I wanted to make sure I got everything in as quickly as I could and show you the power of Acumatica. Like I said, I've been on board a year. I think within 3 weeks, I was given my first demo of Acumatica. So very powerful solution. Remember, user-defined fields, universal search, things that will help make your life a little bit easier. The ability to modify these dashboards, right? Combine columns is what we showed you. Okay, the use of pivot tables and be able to access data, all right, and manage that project in the front office, build out the project, look at it, mark profitability, and then go back. By the way, I'm remiss in showing you one of the coolest things about project number 6, and I'm glad I thought about it, is on the balances tab here. I now have a nice P&L of what that opportunity is going to look like. Granted, I don't have any transactions because we have not entered any time or used inventory on this yet. But when we do, we will start to see budget to actual right here as well. And then I can see that on my project manager dashboard. Okay. So with that, Adrian, I'm going to take a drink of water here and hand everything over to you. I hope everyone has a pleasant and safe holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. Great presentation. What I'm going to do now is show Noelle Bloxen's screen while we're announcing the polls here. She has some items to review with you about Summit. So Noelle, I'm going to go ahead and show your screen here, but I am going to launch a poll while we're announcing the questions.
Okay. Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. So your screen will show after I close this poll. And I just wanted to see if I could present this question to the audience. If you could take a second to answer, that would be awesome. Would you like to be contacted by an Acumatica Partner Recruitment Representative? If you could just take a second to answer this. And we do have a few questions. We have a question, how many customers do you have now? So Eric, I don't know if you have that information.
Yeah, I can take that. So I'm not sure if it was a Noelle slide or not, but we're just about 10 years old at this point. just had our 10-year anniversary or birthday, if you will. And happy to say it's Summit 2018. So we're going on a year now. So everybody will be anxious to see what that number will be announced in January. But we had 4,000 customers a year ago. So, you know, I'm not at liberty to say where we're headed for the rest of this year and where we're going to end up. But that number will be announced at Summit. But as of today, we're looking well north of 4,000 customers.
And then do you have an idea of what industries those customers make up those customers? Is it manufacturing, distribution? What would you visualize as the core competency of Acumatica? Is it just horizontal?
Great question. And we actually do have that. And it is information we're willing to share with you. It's just I don't have it off the top of my fingertips. There is a slide that we do share in some of our presentations that has a breakdown of the industries. Whoever that is, even if you don't want to pursue, you know, go ahead and pursue, put yes on the poll question so that we can follow up with you. And then when we follow up with you, please ask that question again. But otherwise, we won't have a way of knowing. You know, you got to come after us a little bit proactively if you don't mind. But yes, we can share that information with you. I don't have it off the top of my head.
And Eric, I can step in and talk a little bit about that. Some of the core verticals we do work in are professional services, distribution, manufacturing, retail and e-commerce, software and technology, and construction. We do work with other industries, and we do have vertical additions to Acumatica that can cater to those certain verticals.
And thank you, Brian, for your question. We have a question from Brian. I read a lot on your website about the modules being integrated. To me, that says multiple databases. Is that true, and how are they integrated? Eric?
Okay, so that actually is a little bit of an untruth in that everything is built on one database. So depending on where that question or how you're talking about it, you know, for example, if you're using our customer portal, it may be on a separate database. But everything, when you talk about all of our solutions, construction, manufacturing, everything is sitting in one database within Acumatica. So one solution, one database, and that's what allows us to do the types of reporting that we were talking about. So for example, when I looked at those pivot tables and I was able to pull information in, now to that point, if there are a few areas where we may have or look to a separate database, for the most part we do not. Again, because we're working on our platform, then we have the ability to manage that database to, again, connect. In the rare instance, we are using a separate database, and I'm having trouble off the top of my head coming up with a situation where we're using multiple databases other than a third-party product, for example.
And I have another question here. It's an interesting question. This is coming from a surfboard manufacturer with their headquarters located in San Diego. And they saw the multi-company functionality. They're also interested in multi-currency and multilingual, and they do all the manufacturing in Mexico, and they're located in San Diego. Eric, do you, off the top of your head, know about the functionality for multi-currency and multilingual in addition to multi-company?
Yep. So we do have the ability to work in multi-languages. Now, in truth be told, we left that to a local partner in Mexico that has done the conversion for us. Again, we leave certain things like sales tax, like multi-language conversion to the experts, and we don't know language, but when they're converting to Spanish, they actually own the dictionary when you're making that conversion. So, and then also we have a number of clients in Mexico. So therefore, yes, we also accommodate the usage of multi-currency. So if they're going to transact in pesos or whatever it may be, then we can manage that and then do some reporting accordingly as well.
And we have a question from Natasha. Can I create and run queries?
Let me guess, Eric. Just kidding.
Yes.
So yes, so Natasha, an example of a query would be that pivot table, for example, that I created that said, give me salespeople by by period. I think I did sales orders by salesperson by period. So that's one example of a pivot table. But then we have a countless number of reports that we could run, and maybe I should have shown you some of those canned reports as well. And those, Natasha, can be modified as well. One query tool would be the query tool I showed you, where I went to go create that list of sales orders by employee by year.
And I do see that we have 81% of the audience who've answered the poll. I'm going to leave it up here for another couple seconds, and then we're going to flash back Noelle's screen so she can share information about Acumatica Summit and an awesome offer that they have. And if I could just get a second up here. Okay, I see 84% of you have voted. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And then Noelle, we don't see your screen yet.
Okay, I have it up. You see it?
You probably have not clicked on the button. So it might be hidden behind one of your screens. But we do have another question from Brian while you're getting that ready. And Steve, thank you so much. Let's see. Brian's question is, I apologize, but I missed the answer on multi-currency. How many countries do you support? And Eric, you want to take that one offline? Because there probably is a lot of different conversion utilities out there.
Yeah, I mean, we do focus for in the English-speaking regions, if you will. But then, Brian, I'm not sure if you're talking about localization, for example, in the UK where we have customers, or Canada, or I want to say the number is probably north of 20 countries of which we do have customers. So there are unique characteristics to each of those countries, as we know. So, and then again, Brian, on the languages, we have left those to local partners to convert the Acumatica to the local language where necessary. But again, sounds like you're asking all the right questions. Hopefully you selected yes. And then when you do, we follow up with Acumatica, those are the types of questions Noelle could address for you, and he could rope me in, or she could rope me in. Both male and female Noelles could rope me in as necessary. And Steve, what was your question?
And Steve's question is, how strong is the payroll and HR functionality?
So when we look at Acumatica, we look at our core competency, and we realize that what we do, we're very good at. But then we also look to others, for example, the areas of HR and payroll that we don't do. As I say, don't even do very well. We don't do it at all, and we've left those to the experts. So, Steve, we have, off the top of my head, I think 3 other partners that provide HR and payroll type services built on the Acumatica platform. So, to your point, Steve, it will have the same look and feel as Acumatica, but you would be using, one of these ISV solutions that Noelle had been talking about.
And Noelle, let's just go ahead and jump into the special offer for
I hope you can see
new
the screen
Acumatica
now.
partners. I can see your screen. Perfect.
Yay!
Yay!
Hi, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's webinar. And as everyone was speaking about, we have Summit coming up, our annual Partner Summit. This year, 2018, it was in Nashville. And in 2019, as you can see the dates, and of course, Bob talked about this earlier, it's going to be in Houston, Texas. So we do have a special offer. So we want to say, join us in Houston as a new Acumatica partner. So if you are a prospect on this call and you're thinking about coming on board, please schedule, it's a 30-minute conversation with my colleague. We call him Noel West, I'm Noel East. His email is highlighted right there on the screen, and that will show his availability, so you can actually schedule your own appointment with him and to begin the discussions about your interest in becoming a partner. And your name will be submitted to for a chance to win a Summit Pass only. And we say Summit only pass, not Summit and training. And the value of that Summit only pass is $899. So $899 value you can get to Houston and to attend that incredible summit that Bob talked about in detail. Last year we had about a little over 1,000 in attendance, and that includes the Acumatica executive team and the employees and our partners, both VARs, ISVs, and OEMs, our customers. It's a whole lot of fun, a great way to engage and network. and learn a whole lot about our incredible platform. So please keep in mind that during this meeting with my colleague Noel, you must meet all of Acumatica eligibility requirements, and you have to sign a partnership agreement by December 31st of this year to qualify for this offer. So please keep that in mind. So when you schedule your conversation with Noel, he'll go a little bit more detail about, you know, what is required, and then you know, if you find that you want to move forward, then we'll have additional conversations. And the next slide I want to talk about would be, I don't know, I didn't include that, but there is a chance for you when you come on board to meet with the executive team, and that includes our president, John Roscoe. And we offer a dinner to our partner prospects and newly onboarded partners. It's a dinner that you can engage with your industry peers and the executive team, and you can have a chance to walk away with some great prizes as well. And this is exclusively for our newly onboarded partners and our partner prospects, so who are coming to Summit. So the space is limited for that. So if you're interested, again, please reach out to us and let us know if you're coming to Summit, so that we can get your name on that list, so we can get you to the executive dinner with the team. And that is it. So hope you enjoyed today's webinar. Hope to see you in Houston, Texas, nice and warm in January. And thank you again, everybody, for joining us.
And Noel, to that, I have gone to the last 2 years of Acumatica Summits, and I have found them to be very engaging, and everybody's there. So the conversations outside of the different sessions are where you get so much benefit too, because you know the sideline conversations, learning about how people are implementing Acumatica, what industries people are focusing on. It's just extremely engaging, and highly recommend going. And we are 1 minute after the hour, so we're ready to close up here. I just want to thank everybody again for joining us. We know your time is very hard to come by, and we really appreciate you being here with us. I did record this webinar, and I will be sending out a follow-up email with all this information you see here on the screen. So look out for that, and also the recording. So everybody take care, and let us know if you have any questions. Have a great day. Bye-bye.